We're now going to compare the sizes of two fractions. What that means is we want to work out which fraction is bigger. Now the only way we can do that is by making both denominators the same. So we have to get the lowest common multiple of the two denominators. In other words, the smallest number that 5 and 7 go into, and that's going to be 35. So circle the denominators, identify their LCM. So in this case, it's 35. And what we're now going to do is we're going to turn each fraction into an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 35. So let's take 4/5 first of all. We want to turn it into an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 35. So start with the denominators because you know both of them. So we have to multiply 5 by 7 to get 35. And we must do the same to the numerator. We have to multiply it by the same value. So multiply 4 by 7 and that's going to give us 28. So 4/5 is 28 over 35 as an equivalent fraction. I'm now going to do exactly the same with 6/7. We're going to turn it into an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 35. So got 6/7. We want to turn it into an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 35. So again, start with the denominators in each fraction because you know them. So we got to multiply 7 by 5 to get 35, and we therefore have to do exactly the same thing to the numerator. We have to multiply it by 5. So if we do that, we're going to have 6 multiplied by 5 is going to give us 30. So we've taken the original two fractions, we've turned each of them into an equivalent fraction with the same denominator. Okay. So now we can make a decision as to which fraction is bigger. So you now look at the numerators of the equivalent fraction and you look for the numerator which is bigger. So 30 is clearly bigger than 28. So that means 30 over 35 is bigger than 28 over 35. But that also means that 6/7 is bigger than 4/5. So you compare the equivalent fractions, but then you go back and say, well, 30 over 35 is the same as 6/7, so that means 6/7 is bigger than 4/5. So our answer, 6/7 is bigger. Okay, let's look at example B. So again, we have two fractions and we want to work out which one is bigger. So again, we circle the denominators and we want to make both denominators the same. So we're looking for the smallest number that 9 and 12 both go into. So the smallest number that they both go into would actually be 36. So the LCM of both denominators is 36. So what we're going to do is we're going to take each fraction and we're going to turn it into an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 36. So let's take 8/9. So we want to make it into an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 36. So we start with a 9 and the 36 because we know the two denominators that correspond here. So we have to multiply 9 by 4 to get 36. So we have to do exactly the same thing to the numerator. We have to multiply it by 4. So 8 multiplied by 4 is going to give us 32. So 8/9 is exactly the same as 32 over 36. They're worth the same thing. So let's take 11/12 now. and we want to turn it into an equivalent fraction with a denominator 36. So again, start with the two denominators, because you know both of them. So ask yourself, what must we multiply 12 by to get 36? Well, we're going to have to multiply it by 3. And then we have to do exactly the same thing to the numerator. We have to multiply it by 3. So 11 multiplied by 3 is going to give us 33. So we now have two different equivalent fractions such that their denominators are the same. So now we can look at the two numerators of the equivalent fractions and decide which numerator is bigger. Well, 33 is bigger than 32, so that means 33 over 36 is bigger than 32 over 36. But that also means 11 over 12 is bigger than 8/9. So you write the original fraction down when you're deciding which one is bigger. So answer 11 over 12 is bigger. Okay. Part C. So we want to compare the two fractions 2/6 and 5/12. So again, you can't compare these fractions. You can't work out which one's bigger until their denominators are the same. So in order to do that, we have to get the lowest common multiple of both denominators, 12 and 6. So the smallest number that 12 and 6 both go into is just 12. So the LCM is 12. So that means we're going to make the denominators of each fraction 12. Now the good news is this denominator already is 12, so we actually now don't need to do anything to 5/12. We can just keep it as it is. We do have to make the 6 here into 12. So let's take 2/6 and we're going to change it into an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 12. So put our equivalent fraction down beside it with a denominator of 12, and then we ask ourselves, what do we multiply 6 by to get 12? We have to multiply by 2, and we therefore have to do the same to the numerator. We have to multiply by the same number. So 2 multiplied by 2 is going to give us 4, so we have 4/12. Now, the two fractions now have the same denominators. So now we can compare them to see which one is bigger. So you look at the two numerators here. So we've got a numerator of 4 and a numerator of 5. 5 is bigger than 4, so that means 5/12 is bigger than 4/12. But remember, 4/12 is equivalent to 2/6. So 5/12 is bigger than 4/12. That also means 5/12 is bigger than 2/6. So the answer here, 5/12, always write down the original fraction that's bigger. 5/12 is bigger.